So this is just a couple of our chick starters that we have, and then the two over there are our layers. This is cool as well. So one chick during the first 16 weeks of life is going to approximately eat about 10 pounds of feed. So that's a lot.
And then, once you switch to layer, pellet, or crumble, about 1.5 pounds of feed per week, so per chick. So, or per chicken, I guess. We're up to chicken, not chicks anymore.
Yes. Yep.
How big are those bags?
So the nature-wise are 40 pounds. Go ahead.
Nope, you're good, 40 pounds. And then we also have the smaller, so is the chick starter, the 40 pounds. We also have smaller bags as well, but usually it's always nice to get,
The big bag.
Yeah.
Right.
Or else you're going to be back in like a week.
Right. So especially if they eat 10 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so housing, right? You guys have your coop yet back there? You got it? Okay. You guys already have your coop. If you're going to build a coop, just a couple things to keep in mind as well. 4 square feet per bird. Remember that, okay? So they need some, space to get away from one another and not be in each other's spaces all the time.
That's inside the coop or in the run?
That's the coop in general. Yep, so your run and inside as well.
So if you're going to free range outside, just let them out in the morning, like, good to go, as long as there's enough room inside for them to roost.
Yep, you're happy campers. Absolutely. Yep, make sure that you have your roosts ready and your laying boxes. So I get this question all the time, how many laying boxes should I have? I have 6 chickens. I built 4 laying boxes, and they only lay in 1. So.
Mine lay in the bale of hay.
Yeah, there you
go. They don't,
never find
they
their
don't
eggs.
use the boxes. Yeah, so they find their spot, and they like it. So.
So you can provide bedding to put in there. I just usually use straw, just because I have it for my horses. Pine shavings, once again, is a good one to put in there. Make sure the space is draft-free. So, I'll talk about that in a minute. Let me see here. Yep, so this is another one. So when you're building your runs and stuff, it's important to give them some shade, right? So in the summertime, you can use a tarp to kind of put over some of the run to give them some shade. And then it's ideal if you will dig down in the dirt, about that far or so, and then come out from your chicken coop a little ways. I live in the city, so I don't have to deal with coyotes, but I do have skunks around my house. So if a predator comes and they try to dig into your coop, they're going to hit the chicken wire. Had some guy tell me the other night, he's like, oh, no. He's like, I don't do that for predators. I do it because they will dig holes and get out, so, which they will do. Oh, Jake.
Close.
Yes, you were on it. So runs are good. I free range my birds every day, so they go live with the horses and the goats for all day, and then I put them away. Just remember, if you're not going to do that, shade, whatnot, give them stuff to do.
And when you do free range, most of the times they put themselves in. Like if it's dusk, they like to be in their spot at night. So like my chickens beat me to it. Like I go and I look and it's dusk, dark. Okay, like I just shut the door. Yep. Like they know when it's time to go to bed. Mm-hmm. So good to know.
Yes, very. Yeah. Okay, so here's a couple more fun facts. Commercial chickens lay between 265 to 280 eggs a year.
I hope you guys like eggs.
That's a lot. And here's your question about the eggs. So you can tell the color of egg that your chicken is going to lay by looking at their earlobe. No joke.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but one of our chickens has like a teal green.
Oh,
behind her ear, and she's finally starting to lay now. But
okay.
I didn't know. I was like, that's such a weird.
Yeah, to be honest, I did not know that. So then I had to go home and inspect all my chickens. I'm like, yep, no white egg, brown egg, white egg.
Mm-hmm.
So do all the breeds have, could a different breed, does members of one breed have different colors of earlobes? In other words, like
yes,
yeah. Or like,
yeah.
So will it lay different color eggs?
So like Easter eggers, for example. Everybody loves Easter eggers because they will lay like a light green or a blue egg, but it'll either lay one or the other. So if your Easter egger is laying a blue egg, it's always going to lay a blue egg. It never changes. Did that answer your
Rhode
question?
Island Red, is it always going to lay a brown egg?
Yep. Good question. And then this one right here is important. So chickens are relatively quiet, okay? I hear mine in the morning They cackle a little bit, so I call it bragging rights. So they're all excited. They just laid an egg, and they are telling everyone who will listen about it. It usually only lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, and then she's done. And then she's off on her way. Like I said, predators, air, ground, okay? If they're noisy, something's bothering them.
Does that include the rooster? We have a rooster.
Yeah, because he only crows in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime the sun's up.
Yeah. Yes.
I feel like they raised us wrong as kids, right? This kid's story, you always be, oh, it's early morning. No, false.
No. False alarm. False alarm.
So he just talks because that's what they do.
He's the man. So, pretty much. Yep. So, leaving the brooder and joining your existing flock. So for future reference, when you guys need to add more birds to your flock, this is a safe way to do that. Okay. So
can I ask a question real quick? You could have already covered this, but we live on like a half acre, and so I just want one or two. But how many do they come in packs? Like, does he need a buddy, or does he need 2 or 3 buddies? Or I guess
great question.
Need buddies.
Yeah, yep. So that is a great question. So chickens are very social. I get that question all the time. How many should I get? So I have a limit where I live. I can only have 6, but I always recommend at least you get 4, because chances are you're going to take them home. One of them might die, so then you'll be left with 3. Chickens can't live on their own. So if you seclude them and they're all alone and they don't have many friends, most likely they'll die.
Okay.
Yep. Great.
So they're very social. So
So obviously, the more you have, the happier they are. But
but then that can also cause a lot of drama too.
Right.
So
or they go make friends with the goat,
the goats,
and
horses.
they're very social.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. So when you're ready to move them outside into your coop, make sure that they are fully feathered, okay? This is how they regulate their body temperature. So when they're as small as they are right now and they're all fluffy, they have no way to regulate their body temperature, okay? So after they're fully feathered, usually around 6 to 7 weeks. Acclimation is important, right? Like I thought we were coming out of winter, but now it just finally decided to show up. So just be mindful of that. So is what you can do with your new birds going into your flock is a lot of people will use like a dog kennel to put inside your actual coop, okay? So your new birds are in the dog kennel and your older ones can talk to them, smell them, get to know them, whatever it is that they need to do, but they actually can't get to them, okay? Because your older hens will be very mean to your younger ones, all right? So if you do it this way, don't rush the getting to know you phase, okay? It's very important. So you can do this for about a week, and then the next step is really important. So at night is when you need to do this. Chickens are kind of docile at night. They're a little night blind. They can't really see that well, okay? So take your new birds out of the dog kennel, put them up on the roost with your older hens. Maybe even move your older hens around just a little bit just to jumble things up, okay?
You're going to be a ninja in your chicken coop at night.
Yeah.
That's really what you're going to be.
Yes. And the key is to move quick, right? You'll probably cause some drama and you'll hear some noise, but when they wake in the morning, though, you really shouldn't have any issues. Like, they're going to go, you were here the whole time, right? You're okay. Hey, you're okay.
Yeah.
Your pecking order is going to be reestablished, so you're always going to have your top hen in the group, and she can be mean sometimes, and then you're also going to have your lower one that gets beat up occasionally. So just monitor them very closely during this time. Like I said, you shouldn't see a whole lot of hen house drama, but just in case.
That gives you the best setup for them to psych themselves out a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Does it matter how many you have? What if can you introduce 6 or 8 at a time when there's 2 or 3 only? When you only have 3 or 4?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're gonna go, man, I got cozy last night.
Jeez, what happened? Okay, so summer, right? Hopefully it's on its way. Just a couple things. So chickens are very susceptible to heat stress. They can't sweat so your dog, for example, that pants, okay? Your chickens are kind of going to do that a little bit. Like they're going to be kind of puffed up a little, and you're going to see them kind of panting and stuff. That's her trying to bring her body temperature down. She'll usually be in the shade, laying down when she does it. Let me see here. So some symptoms of that. So number 1 is the panting, like I said. Holding the wings away from the body. So like I said, she's kind of going to be like puffed up a little bit. She's not gonna look all like slicked back, okay? This is probably gonna be one of the last things you notice, a decrease in their intake for feed. Deteriorating eggshells could be a possibility of heat stress, could be a lack of calcium, okay? They can also die from this. So it's important to make sure that they do have a place to get out of the heat, out of the sun, okay? It looked like it was gonna go up again. You got it, you're good. So for your coops and stuff, it's just important. I know I looked at some that Cow Ranch has on display out there, and a lot of them have windows now that you can slide open with screens on. This is great for the summertime. Open those windows, get some good ventilation in there, but also in the wintertime, it's important that you close those off, which I'll talk about in just a second. So for winter, I was like, what did that say? So in the wintertime, I always feed my birds a little higher protein, all right? And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about molting and why I do that. But it's important during the wintertime. Water is important no matter what, anytime. But this right here actually really got me thinking. So I travel a lot for work, and there's sometimes where I'm gone like a week, and my neighbor's taking care of my birds and stuff, but he usually doesn't like check their water to see if it's too hot. So I know in Salt Lake last year, we had a lot of days where it was really hot. It was 107, 110 degrees all in a row. I didn't really necessarily think that their water sitting there is probably warm. And I don't like to drink warm water either. So it has been proven that animals like water around 45 degrees. Heated bowls, so I know Cow Ranch sells the heated pads that you can set your metal waters on so you don't have to go out there and break ice. I had a lady just the other night tell me for summer to help keep the temperature of the water down, she actually gets the water bottles and freezes them, and she'll just drop one in there. So, yeah, pretty good idea. So in the wintertime, it's important, like I said, to be able to close your windows. I know in my chicken coop, when I walk in, I can see light in one of the corners. So in the wintertime is what I do is I just get like a little cheap tarp, and I will staple that around that corner so it seals that off so that it can't get wet in there and they can stay relatively dry. Coccidiosis thrives in wet, damp conditions, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. It can be fatal for them. I get this question all the time. Can I put a heater in the chicken coop? I don't recommend that you do that just because of the fire hazard, okay? Chickens can withstand about negative 20 degree weather before they need additional heat. But we've kind of humanized our animals, right? And when we know it's gonna be 0, 5 below, we feel bad for them, right? So without using a heater, you can put a heat lamp in there and turn it on at night for them, okay? Questions with that? Okay, good. Yep, so like I said, I just talked about that, draft-free and stuff in the wintertime. And a lot of the times too, your birds aren't gonna come out in the winter if there's snow on the ground. So I have one rogue Rhode Island Red that she does it all the time, and she ventures out in the snow. I don't know where she's going, what she's looking for. She can't find anything. She's the only one that does it. The rest of them all stay in the coop. So parasites. So around this time, like parasites can get pretty bad. I know in Salt Lake I have a couple poultry groups that they're talking about mites and lice and stuff. So just a couple things. So diatomaceous earth is a wonderful product. You can put this on your birds to help kind of prevent, it's a natural prevention anyway, to help kind of prevent mites and lice. I actually dumped some of that in their nesting boxes as well. And then I also put some in their dust baths, which we'll talk about a little later. But really good stuff. Yeah, that's important too. So their vent area, that's where you're going to notice mites, lice, and whatnot at first, okay? And then frostbite. So it can get pretty cold up here, right? This is kind of just what they look like. A little bit on their combs up there. A couple things that you can do, which I didn't know this. So your rooster, if he gets frostbite, he'll be infertile until it's over with. Good thing to use is Vaseline.
From trying.
Yeah, it does not stop him from trying. You're right. A lot of people use Vaseline. You just put it on there, and it'll help. And then, so once again, winter nutrition, I always feed a higher protein feed during the winter time. The birds really need the more calories and stuff during this time because they're going to go through molt, which I have a whole section we'll talk about in just a second.